Welcome to How to Write a Book in 90 Days. And I want this week's call to be about recommitting and everything that you need or want to cover in order to, complete your manuscript. So it's a sort of an open kimono, authentic, showing up wherever you're at, and humbling ourselves before the process and each other as reflections and learning from each other's questions. That's the intention. And so the way the roadmap will go, it's very simple. We're going to start off with a sacred moment of a few breaths, and then we'll go into a progress report. So I'm going to do a breakout room so you can kind of assess where you're at, and then we'll go around the circle and really share about where we're, an honest look. Like, this is where we're at with, what do we have? 5 weeks left. Woo! 5 weeks left. And after that, then we're just going to lean into some questions, what's arising, and it actually might even come up as we go around the circle, like, what are our challenges, so we can kind of work collectively on that. So I'm going to invite you to straighten your spine, make whatever adjustments will optimize the flow of breath and energy in your body. And with your eyes closed, follow the exhalation down. And greeting the earth with 3 breaths. And once you've tapped into the core of the planet with the exhale, you can begin to ascend on the inhale through the pranic tube, following the central axis behind the heart, up through the upper chakras, and just breathing into the cosmos for the next 3 breaths. And I invite you to draw from the center of the galaxy, the black hole, the void, draw the dark matter, dark energy into your heart, so that the final 3 breaths are integrating heaven and earth through the portal of the heart. Bringing your hands to your heart. This is where we greet our guides. We welcome in the widest possible perspective, the deepest possible inspiration, as we humble ourselves before the creation of this book, and aligning with the message that's coming through us, aligning with source energy and how it wants to animate and share the themes in this book. And setting our intention for this course to recommit and to gather everything that we need to complete our manuscripts. And with the intention to show up and serve, we take a final deep breath, exhale, and open our eyes. Namaste. Thank you. Beautiful. So the inquiry for your breakout group right now will be first doing your adjustment, your assessment. Well, actually, I want you to come away from the breakout group with clarity of how many pages you have to do on a weekly basis to finish your book. So you do your math equation. By now you should know it. And with 5 weeks left, what's your weekly target each of the 5 weeks? So you're basically figuring that out, sharing that with your partner. But then the deeper inquiry is, what is it that you need to know, or what would really support you, or what's been your challenge? You know, just take a moment, like a mini accountability with your partner right now to crystallize, you know, what you want to get from this class so that you can go into, you know, the next 2 weeks on fire, really clear, you know, and blaze through any resistance. So it's really kind of a free form of like, okay, where are you at and what do you need in order to move forward? And I'm going to give you 10 minutes to sort that out. And if you wanted to, you know, divide that between yourselves, that however you do that is perfect. But we're going to go ahead and start there. Okay, and then I'm gonna see you in 10 minutes. I have a little bit, wait, hold on, I did that wrong. Love the technology. Okay. So I'm going to welcome back, and hopefully we will go around. I have a car alarm that just started. And we'll get to share and celebrate. And it's, you know, as always, when we do these authentic progress reports, it's so important that we stand in the sovereign, like knowing and trusting the process, that everybody's right where they need to be. We're not comparing ourselves. We're not judging ourselves. We're like, this is where I'm at. Now the question is, where do I go from here? And so, you know, I'm going to invite you to share your progress, which, you know, what I'll ask is one celebration, and maybe it's I've done this many pages, or it's I showed up today, you know, whatever it is. So you start off by saying one win, and then you share, and then we'll go around. Let's do that. Let's just start off with a round of celebrations, and then we'll go around again, and we'll go into challenges, after which we'll kind of do some, you know, hot seat coaching around various challenges. So with that, intention, you will call on the next person, after sharing. So we'll just tag and go around. Who wants to start? Leanne?
Okay, so I think I'm on pretty good target. I've got about 25,000 words. And yeah, so happy about that. Happy about that. That's the main thing, right? Just share something.
Absolutely.
Okay, Tracy.
I'd rather just listen for now, if that's okay.
Great. Go ahead and call on someone, Tracy.
Diane.
Hi. So I finished my manuscript on June 1st, as I wanted to do. So yay. It's a 50,000 word, I think. It's handwritten. So now I have taken a week off, and now I'm ready to turn that into a written document. I'm going to use in Google Voice, and then I'll go into week 7 of the rewrite.
Fantastic. Woo, wonderful.
Yes. Tiana?
Taina. Kind of like hyena with a T. Taina. I am celebrating getting back in flow. I had about 2 weeks where I was kind of just struggling a little bit, and it's because I was trying to be linear about it and go in chronological order. And then I also took a break, a little bit of a break. I mean, I would sit in front of my computer, but nothing would come out for about a while. But what did start coming out were things that are pertinent to and relevant to what's going on in the world. And so in the posting and writing about that, putting my voice out into the Facebook land with everything that's happening, and getting such immense positive feedback and people thanking me for the inspiration and for sharing my story and this and that, it reinvigorated the motivation and inspiration to continue to write my story, because so many people wrote out like, I didn't know that about you, that's amazing, you're an inspiration to me, thank you, please more. So I was like, okay, gotta keep writing the book. So with that, and allowing myself to not be fucking linear and to just be in my Shakti and go wherever the juice is, and instead of going from one thing to the other, it's like, oh, today I want to write about this part of my life, which is further down the road, and then come back to something from previous, since I've been kind of bouncing around in that way, but following the excitement, like, what I really want to write about today, and now I'm back in flow. So that feels really good. I feel like I'm in a good pace where my number is not overwhelming at all. It's like, oh, yeah, I can do this. And also being really compassionate with myself that even if I don't finish with the 90 days, although I think I will, that I'm not stopping. So I feel good about it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. So I'm celebrating that.
Woohoo! Wonderful. I've been reading some of your posts as well. They're so important, so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Pick someone.
Narkis.
Hey. So I'm advancing well. I feel that maybe because I'm close to finishing, I have tons of resistance. So like, let's say I'm dedicating 2 hours a day for writing, so it becomes an hour, and then on the second hour, I'm like, ah. So I think it's something symbolic that like my self-sabotaging side is like, don't get what you want. So it's challenging, but it's just part of the process. So I'm embracing it, and yes, I'm planning to finish on the deadline.
Good.
Yeah.
Can you crystallize the highlight, the win,
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Both, but
the win is that I really understand my theme now. Like when the 15 words that you talked about in the video, it was like, it's really clear to me that, and it's really supportive in the process.
Excellent. Now you can pick someone.
Kadesh.
I So what I will celebrate with you is that although for the last week I have not done so much progress, and that would probably continue for another week because I'm in a huge project that is happening through me now. And with all that, there are two things that are happening that are celebrative for me. One is the deepening of the understanding and connection to the character of the, like, that being that wants to bring that book through me. I experience much more embodiment of that. And the other is that as I know myself, I would have give up if I'm not standing in the expectation, but I feel actually very optimistic and very ready to do the writing once the project is done, which is after the solstice.
Woohoo! Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Oh, yeah, to choose someone. I like that baby Alexandra.
Thank you. I'm celebrating being really on track and planning to finish in 3 weeks. Having written 43,000 words, which is now probably the most I have ever written.
woohoo!
And I'm really celebrating that it's getting like more and more exciting and more like, yeah. And also that it's like it's kind of easy. It's not too much. It's not like impossible work. It's happening. Yes. I'm excited actually to read it after it's done. And yes.
How old is your little one?
She is 1 year and 4 months.
So beautiful. I just think you're a superwoman, you know, as a mama with the little one writing a book, and you know, it's exceptional. And I really doubly celebrate that.
Thanks so much. Yeah. And I also celebrate yesterday we went for a photo shot, and I feel the photo like it will be part of one of the chapters, the photo shot that I did. So
Ooh. Yeah. Good. Great. Who's next?
And William is next.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, I'm celebrating being here once again, and I have been writing every day, but I haven't been keeping up with the pace that I need to. So I've got a good basic outline for the book, but I just haven't. I just don't have the amount of words I need to have. But I'm really celebrating the fact that I feel more like a writer, or that I know that I am a writer. I just have to keep plugging at it, and it's something very positive in my life right now, as opposed to all the other stuff that's going on. So I'm just thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. A daily writing practice and a shifting identity, and you know, I'm so impressed. It's really wonderful that you're, you know, keeping on. That's huge.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who do you pick?
Well, that is another thing, being technologically not quite up to speed. I don't see anybody to pick right now.
Raise your hand if you haven't gone yet. Raise your hand. We've got Michael, we've got Gwendith, Dave, Christiane.
Michael, I guess.
Great.
Okay, I'm celebrating that that when I put my butt in the seat and I write, a lot of really good stuff comes out. And my challenge has been getting enough butt in seat time. And also, as I've been kind of going back and doing the pre-writing, so we're doing our project slightly differently, where we're kind of going back into some of the stuff that we've done in the past for the class. That going back in, I'm just starting to learn how to write deeper in that significant question or the significant statement place. And it's also a celebration, but that's been my biggest challenge. So
good. Okay.
And Dave, have you gone yet? Okay, you're on.
Well, I'm celebrating just showing up, and my book of devotion, I'm in the middle of the end part. I'm more devoted than ever, and to my beloved, she's even contemplating coming back to live with me temporarily, but I'm going through, some of the deepest emotional, spiritual pain I've ever gone through. Just been devastated. And I've been learning all about devotion. So the book is also devotion to myself, which I hadn't gotten until this past week. So I'm really living it. I won't be finished with the book, but it's being written, and I am doing, I'm uncovering what it really is, because I'm living it, and it's kind of amazing, the devotion that I have. I underestimate it. I thought it was powerful, and I underestimate it. And people are wanting to actually know, because it's sustaining me, and it's helping me through, some of the harshest stuff that my beloved can throw at me, because I know it's not her, and I'm doing everything I can. So
beautiful.
And I hurt because she hurts very deeply, and so who hasn't gone? So yeah, Christiane.
I'm celebrating that I found out that I actually did not the double pacing. So I was always wondering why I just cannot write, a whole page in that 5 minutes. Until I found out that I had just not done it. And since I've done the double pacing, I actually found out I have double as much. It's almost like the whole pages of the book I want. It's like 250 pages a day. And I was like, oh my God. And there's a lot of stuff in there, but actually I also haven't written a lot of the chapters. So I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is. And I'm celebrating this. It's a lot of material. I also celebrate that I just today sat in front of it and was like, I wanted to do this so hard, and I haven't really done it this week so much, and I just couldn't. So I just took myself to the beach, and I had lunch with a friend, and just like, dropped it. And I also really like to just, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting into this just also, I am an author. So whenever I teach now, I have to introduce myself or something, I'm actually using it. So I'm really using that, and it feels good. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Good. Have we gone around the whole circle? Did we hear from
Kali?
Yeah, Leanne. Oh yeah, Kali, good. Kali and Leanne.
So I'm celebrating that the butt glue is really sticking finally. And I'm actually getting 10 hours a week in. And I'm also celebrating that this is a memoir of personal transformation, and it's actually been very challenging emotionally. So a bit like Dave, the book is writing me, and I'm very proud of myself for staying with the process, because a lot of very challenging and difficult emotions are coming up for me while I write. But I'm not giving up. I am absolutely committed to this book, and I'm a third of the way through a 450-page book.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Great. Liana?
Yeah, I went very first. I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Who didn't? Is there anyone else that hasn't gone yet?
Oh, good. Gwendid.
I would like to celebrate that for the first time, I'm really excited about going to write when I go to the chair and the table. That's never happened to me before. It was always a kind of had to do, or somebody was asking me. But as I write, I'm getting more and more excited about what I have to put down. I don't have to think about it. It just like comes spontaneously, and I don't allow myself even go there and think about it. So I'm really, really enjoying that process, Kamala Devi.
Beautiful.
Any challenges I have, of course, is time, and I'm hearing this with a lot of people. But hopefully this is going to sort itself out soon. One challenge that I have.
So pause for a moment, pause for a moment, because I did want to just celebrate everything that was shared. And you're, you know, we don't want to blow past the fact that, you know, you're actually excited to show up for your writing. Like, we all want to really feel everyone's celebrations. And we're going to take a moment before we switch into challenges. I'll say this, which is that because this is both a process-oriented, we're, you know, on a journey, and it's towards a product. You know, it's not just a personal growth class. It's like we're actually producing something. The mind wants to go into the future, and like in the 3D world, it wants to measure and have you know, the product. So the mind will you know, it's kind of like the negativity bias. Like the nature of the mind is to fix problems or to troubleshoot or to, you know, it's like this supercomputer. And so let's honor the fact that when we're working on a product, that the mind's job is to continuously look at the gap and say, ooh, I'm not there yet, or I'm not doing. So we have to actually rewire our mind and cultivate the wins, the celebration, the gratitude, the enthusiasm. So just the enthusiasm to show up and write is one of the biggest things that we can cultivate every day. So let's keep, you know, start your writing day off when you come to your pages from a positive place. Because like Taina said, it's like if you come with enthusiasm and you're in the flow, you know, it doesn't really matter which chapter or chunk or how many pages. It's like, you know, it'll happen through you. So let's take a moment to breathe in as a reference point for the nervous system, all of the wins of everybody in the group. And then we're going to move from that place into our challenges. And we'll do this kind of in hot seat fashion, which is, you know, I'm going to ask everybody, and a lot of us will have the same challenges. So when you, like Gwen said, you know, I'm hearing this from a lot of people. So hopefully if everyone addresses one thing, you know, if it hasn't been addressed, then we'll even in redundancy cover a lot of, you know, a lot of those challenges. So let's see who has, oh, actually, here's the, I think the structure first. You know, there's the pre-writing. We've all gotten through the teachings on pre-writing. There's the writing, which is the stage we're in. And then, you know, there's an introduction to the rewriting. And next week, we're going to get into the, you know, the marketing and packaging and all of that, but not next week, in 2 weeks. But I'd like to structure the questions in that order and know that there's also questions about the inner game. So if anybody has questions or challenges about the pre-writing process, let's start there, okay? And so that's like, hey, if you're tripping up on blueprint or outlining or any of those things, it's not too late to like, just focus on it. Anyone have any questions or challenges at that level? Michael?
I definitely feel like I can't write a lot of stuff because the pre-writing, I didn't do the pre-writing right. So I tend to, I'm writing stuff and then I come back to it. It isn't structured well enough yet. So I'm still in that pre-writing place. And I think it's that significant statement is where I was weak. I had just written some, simple questions that weren't really the deep questions that needed to support and be the structure.
Great, good. So I want to introduce this idea, and I'm just going to introduce it, which we don't cover in great detail in this class. And as you know, I'm pulling from lots of different sources. So one of the popular or, like writing techniques of the era, there's like trends, there's writing trends, but it's called the snowflake method. And I'm introducing this idea because a lot of times in the writing process, the pre-writing process, we can be focused on like, ooh, is this question worded right? Or what, like we can be in the minutia, or we can be in the, like we did it last week. We said, what's the theme? Theme is big, but the theme is also really small because you want the theme to come through each little chunk. So I'm going to reference the snowflake because it may support how we approach the writing chunks. The snowflake method is sort of this idea of, if you have your whole book in one sentence, like the theme, right? And then you look at, but you could tell your whole book in a paragraph. Okay, you can tell your whole book in a one-page synopsis, right? You could pretty much summarize your book into one page. You could summarize your whole book in a chapter. Maybe that's like the introduction chapter or a summary conclusion chapter. Now, you start going into the different chapters. And so the snowflake you can see is kind of like this spiral way of looking at the whole book. And the reason I'm pointing at this method is because it's important sometimes when you're approaching your chapter, like let's say you're writing the book while you're blueprinting, which happens to be what Michael and I are doing to some degree because we're co-authoring. There's a little bit of a different spin, but you're writing your book while you're blueprinting. And so you want to ask yourself, this chapter, what's, what the theme of the book is, the big idea of the book, but what's the point of this chapter? And to kind of keep that in mind when you're writing the pieces in it, is like, does this serve what this chapter is trying to say? What do I want to say in this chapter? And that's it's kind of like a workaround. If the blueprinting's not your style, or isn't working for you, you can also approach it like, okay, well, what needs to be covered in this chapter as a big picture, and then allow yourself to write from there. So I wanted to just put that out there. Do you have any questions about that? And this is not just to Michael, this is to anyone else who's blueprinting while you're writing. Any questions or comments about that? Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not writing much, even though I have been writing, and I have actually a lot written from the past. I'm living this thing now, like I'm living the ending, which I thought I had a bunch of chapters and I didn't know how it all went together. And now, as I'm like literally living the end and pieces are falling into place, you know. So that's my process. That's where I'm at. And because at one point I thought I had a bunch of chapters, and then when I took it as a whole, it's like, no, this isn't, it's not going to work. And I've only in the past week actually finally, you know, found, oh my God, you know, this is really about my devotion. And then I got all these other massive pieces of information. I had a huge transformational shift. You know, I mean, so I'm living it. And I don't know if you can say anything to that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like life imitates art and art imitates life. And every one of us, like the course of our destiny is changed by the fact that we're choosing to write this at this time. Like our realities are all shifted. And it's really, this is what you're speaking to is actually the most shamanic part of writing, which is that we are scripting our reality. And those of you, you know, yourself, Taina, you know, I know Alexandra just said she went on a photo shoot, and that photo shoot's going to be a chapter. You know, it's like we're living art. And when, for the example with you and Taina, and who else is doing memoir? Good. Okay, so good, like Liana and Gundi. So what'll happen is the decision to write the memoir is gonna give your life a new color, give a new perspective. And in your case where, you know, we just identified, hey, here's the deep theme. And when you are declaring to the universe, devotion is the theme. And now all of a sudden you have, the universe is presenting you with the greatest test of devotion. You know, it's like sometimes like, okay, I'm making this declaration, and then the universe steps in to dance with you, to offer you that. And I just want to celebrate that you're awake in the dream, you know, in that process.
Yeah, thanks. And I do have resources that are coming in that are addressing devotion, and I'm becoming aware, yeah, because I chose to write this book. I'm just now aware that filter, I knew it's the greatest thing I've ever done. I just wasn't using it for me, anything. So
great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, anything more on the pre-writing process or any of the pre-writing aspects?
I'm also dancing between doing it as a memoir or doing it as a novel, because of what you said in the beginning about going through that existential crisis. And I also resonate with that. Like, I feel like I'm embodying the book that I'm writing. So I haven't actually done a lot of writing, but I've had a lot of processing. So I'm still kind of torn over there, to be honest.
Beautiful. And it is beautiful. I'm not just saying that. It's, you know, writing is the greatest personal growth exercise. I really believe it. Writing a book is, you know, it kind of hollows us out. You know, it rewrites us in the process. And that parts conflict, I want to untangle it for you. One side of you is like, I want to give voice to it. So tell me if this is right. It's like one part wants to, you know, like sing your song, tell your story, like reveal yourself, and, you know, and deeply like share, this is me. And then the other part is like, help me with the voice of this other part. Is it like, I don't want to do that work, or it's too vulnerable, or maybe it's not real art, or what's the other part sound like?
The other part has got a lot of fear around being so exposed and vulnerable, and also like thinking of maybe people that it will involve, and so my community will know who the people are, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of
so this part then is the fear, and the fear says, I'd be responsible for the impact of this message, and oh no, what impact is that going to have on the people, and then, you know, what are people going to think of me, and right. And when I put those side by side, it's really clear when you ask, what does love do? Right? Like, what does love do? You're not gonna, the more you kind of buy into this side, the less you're doing what love does. So this is where I highly encourage you to say, I've got 5 weeks to do what love does. Nobody's going to read anything. No bad reactions are going to come in the next 5 weeks. Why don't I sing my song, reveal myself, tell myself later in rewrite? I can, think about how I'm going to present it. But why spend the next 5 weeks with the emergency brake on, listening to this side, right? Because this is just a time to sing and write and feel and move through it. Nobody's going to know or judge, or it's not going to impact your community at all. But give yourself those 5 weeks to do what love does. And then after you complete your manuscript, we can have a conversation about how best to package it so that it doesn't have a harmful impact.
Okay. As you're talking, I feel emotion coming up also.
Of course. Good. Other inner processes, or if your challenges are your own demons or insecurities, anyone else want to share about that? Diane, and I think Kali also. Yeah.
Say that.
Is that you, Kali?
Which one's first? Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
just wanted to say for that piece of advice about the next 5 weeks being the opportunity to just sing the song and do what love does and not worry about the censoring. No one else is going to read it, and thank you for that. That really is liberating for me.
Good. Thank you. So Kali is resonating with the permission to express yourself fully in 5 weeks without concern of any audience. Good. Did you have any questions, or that's it?
No, just really thank you for that.
Great. Diane.
I was handwriting my manuscript, and now I'm at the point where I want to voice it into a document. So I'm using Google Voice, and the chapter, I knew it was my weakest chapter, but I wrote chapter 2 last because it was my weakest chapter. And after I read it, it threw me so badly at how shitty it was that I haven't been able to even touch my manuscript for a week now.
Okay.
I was wondering if you could talk to me about that.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. So, I like to say that being a writer is like being schizophrenic, right? Because there's going to be moments when you're like, this is the most brilliant stuff ever. Oh my God, I love it. Oh, this is so exciting. And then the next moment, it's like, oh, it's dastardly. What have I done? This is horrible. This is crap. And sometimes that moment goes from 5 minutes to 5 minutes. Sometimes it's like 2 days of feeling miserable and then 2 days of feeling ecstatic and manic. And I hear, that you really toiled over chapter 2, and then you spent a week kind of in doubt and in disgust or, whatever. And I just really want to normalize that, first of all. like welcome to a writer's life. And then second of all, it's so the 2 weeks, like I thought when you were saying, hey, now I'm taking a week off because I finished my manuscript, it can be romantic. The truth is you needed a week off, and you happen to be like burnt or fried or framing it. And sometimes we kind of burn out. That's a lot of handwriting, 50,000 words, and you're like, okay, so you take a week off. What I invite you to do is raise your vibration and then come into the next phase of it from, starting fresh, this recommitment from the best possible version of yourself. And if you end up doing chapter 2 last again, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, start working, skip chapter 2 because it's problematic. Taina's advice around like go where the juice is a great like piece. It's like go into the next phase. And so my invitation to you is to, with self-awareness of a pothole, don't like, what when you're up and when you're down and you're like, hey, all of our jobs is to moderate, we have to be responsible for maintaining our own vibration. And so when we see that there's a pothole up ahead, it's like, okay, let me go through that as buoyantly as possible and not fall into it again. And then pray and ask, like your guides, like, hey, I need some help on chapter 2. Can you give me an inspiration? Can you help me rework this? Can we, because ultimately you're not going to publish it until you're really proud of it. And just consider it a work in progress. Like chapter 2 is not finished. If you don't love it, it's just not done. And then, your guides might come in and say, cut chapter 2, you don't need it, because that's the axe method of rewriting is if it's not a, 7, 8, 9, or 10 in quality, just cut it and throw it away. So that's also possible. Yeah, yay. Okay, any more on the inner game? Any more questions or comments there? Then, Taina.
I don't know if it's the inner game, but and I just found like a solution for myself, I guess. So I'll share a little bit about that. I've been trying to write during the day, and I can't. It sucks. It's hard. I just like end up staring at my unicorn in the pool half the time. Like it's hard. So what I've actually been noticing about myself, that even if I try starting at like 1 to 3 or whatever, most of my writing's coming out after 8. And I've been tired. So I was doing some research as to other pro tip writing tools, and I came across one that I'm going to share with you guys because it's changed my game the last couple nights and I love it. So instead of drinking coffee, I might have a cup in the morning, but never at night. They say get a coffee scented candle. And so this one smells like caramel coffee bean. And if you have a coffee scented candle, it gives you the invigoration and the alertness that drinking a coffee would without all the caffeine in your system. So that's been like my saving grace the last couple nights. I've been able to write till midnight or 1 in the morning when I have no distractions and there's nothing, can't stare at the unicorn. That's been really helpful. So it's been a challenge, but I found a solution. So if that helps you, there you go.
I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Coffee scented candles.
It's so good. William had to whisper it to himself. On the note of staring at the unicorn, the national movement, NaNoWriMo, National Write a Novel in a Month, used to choose the month of I think it was July. They started off in July. They're like, ooh, it's a summer month. We're off work.
November? Wasn't it November?
They got to November because July didn't work. So July, everybody's looking out at the pool. They're going to the beach. So like, who wants to write in July? So they chose a month that was a little cloudier outside, not so sunny, not so beautiful. And it's one of the challenges that we have, in sunny San Diego was not writing weather any time of the year. But it is beautiful that you've found the time and the rhythm, and that's the key for everyone, is listening to your own body wisdom about when and where to write. Good. So on the writing process, what other questions did we have? And this is probably, Gwendid, where we get into the timing question that you had.
Yeah, it was actually my bigger challenge coming up, if that's the time, is that when I listened to your video last week, Kamala Devi, I realized, oh, I'm not going to be able to avoid this. I have to get on the computer. And the computer is my least favorite place to be. And so it's kind of like a big deterrent to think about, okay, I'm going to have to type that whole thing up because you said there has to be a few copies. But I forget who just came up with the, said that they were doing it on Google Voice.
Yeah, Diane.
So, yeah, so I have to investigate that, because if I could just dictate it and they're going to type it for me, that maybe would be a whole lot faster than me spending all hours just typing, you know. It's, well.
How legible is your handwriting? How, Diane, I want to hear from you, but how, when you write, can other people read it?
There are very few people around my age anymore, you know, like the young ones look at cursive writing and they say, I have no idea what that is.
Okay, and the reason I'm asking is because there are transcription services. There are people who you can hire to take a handwritten manuscript and type it up for you. And, you know, you would, in order to hire that person, you might have to go onto Fiverr or, you know, like Indeed, or there's lots of outsourcing sites to get either writer assistants or, you know, virtual assistants. But it's worth, I want to hear Diane's advice to you, but I also want you to know there's other options. And having someone help you with the computer, you know, might shortcut a lot of hours. So, Diane?
Yeah, I was going to say it's not perfect. I do it on my phone, which helps instead of on a computer. And you have to tell it when you want the next paragraph, or if you want a period, or if you want a comma. So it's not perfect, but it is a lot faster than typing. That's all.
Beautiful.
Why do you have to do it on your phone?
For me, it's just hears me better. And it's all on Google Docs, so it's still on the Docs app. So it goes on, it's on my computer simultaneously, but it just speaking into it almost feels like I'm transcribing to a secretary or something. So it works quite well. And, but then you do have to go in after a few pages and just doctor it and make sure everything's the way you want it. If it misheard a word,
Yeah.
sometimes for write, it would think I was saying ride, or, you know, so you just fix it as you go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want to contact me at another time, I'd be happy to tell you or help you.
Great. Thank you. And the other piece too, though, Gwendid, is to stay out of the future. You know, write your manuscript and then worry about that when you get there.
Okay.
Don't let that stop you.
No, but it also came up with the mock-up, you
Okay,
know,
yeah.
like there I have to go and play a bit. You know, I did a rough thing, but it's not well enough done. And it means spending time playing on things that just suck my energy because I don't know how to do them.
Yeah, and this is a real key teaching for all of us. We live in a do-it-yourself, self-publishing like time when there's a lot of like technology is moving us into now you're completely self-sufficient. However, the true craft of writing a book is collaborative. And it's really important to know that it's okay to ask, you know, whether it's editors or proofreaders or formatting, you know, to actually have a team that supports you, because multiple people working on a project can make a project better, you know, and even if that's, you know, hiring a writing coach or leaning on your writing team or accountability buddies. It's just collaborative art tends to bring out the best of us, and you know, and to not think that we have to carry it all on our own shoulders. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good. So I want to just feel around the circle and see who hasn't shared either a question or comment. Christiane?
So, I mean, I feel really excited that I now suddenly have this 250 pages, but I haven't written probably a bit more than half of the chapters. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to get a big book, or maybe I have to take things out. And then also Google Drive gets really slow. It gets really slow and just, you know, writing the words now. And then I'm like, yeah, I mean, you say like just trust your own process, and I feel like I'm doing it. So because I also feel if it's like kind of hard for me to just sit down, do the 5 minutes and just doing it in a linear way. So I'm just, you know, trying, or I just feel like every day, what do I want to write about today? And I kind of still have an overview, but I'm like, oh my God, that's, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like those things, you know, like this maybe also just writing this first shitty draft is really hard for me, like, because I'm quite a perfectionist. So it's like this, you know, I cannot just keep it like this. I need to make it in a way a bit beautiful before I even continue.
So I'm hearing a number of things, and I think that it's really relatable, you know, what you're sharing. And the first, okay, so here's a number of things. One is, oh my God, I've written more than I've ever written, and you know, maybe it's enough. Two is Google Docs is starting to bog down. You know, three is your the tendency to want to iterate, like, oh, let me clean this up and then move forward, right? And I won't even call it perfectionist. It's just, you know, like a desire to kind of, it's getting unruly. So you want to tidy it up before moving forward. It's something we can all relate to. So the Google Docs question is the easiest to answer, which I wonder if you have separated it into chapters. Like if you do a separate Google Doc for each chapter, then you shouldn't have a problem. I have also had the problem of having an entire manuscript, and then I have to scroll and scroll and scroll to find out where I am. And I find, you know, separating them into chapters, which later I compile, is just a lot more manageable. Having said that, the other piece of like where I'm at, you know, I'm happy I've written so much, but you know, it feels like there's a hint of self-sabotage in it. And the self-sabotage is sometimes like, and I don't know if you relate to this, but we have a certain identity, which is a concept of ourselves and how much we can do, or when we do something, the quality or caliber of it has to match our own identity. And so when we get outside of our comfort zone and we start doing beyond what we know ourselves to do, then there's like a loyal servant that comes in and wants to bring us back to where we're comfortable. Yeah. And so, you know, before you were like you're trying to write more, and all of a sudden you have more than you ever wrote. And now it's like, whoa, is it too much? So I would just notice that there's, and I'm using you as an example because I want everyone to know that the closer we get to our finish line in the next 5 weeks, the more approach avoidance will start to occur. And what that means is we're approaching the finish line and we'll start to avoid it even more. There's a real kind of dissonance that happens the closer we get to something that we really, really want. And the key with all this you know, I genuinely want to inspire everyone to say, I've got 5 weeks, and in that time, I'm going to put all my energy into just getting this done and letting go of notions of what it means or what it looks like or how good it is or how it's going to be received. Let go of all of that, because in the next 5 weeks, you know, I have to have all the clay on the wheel in order to then shape it and see what it is and see where it needs working, right? And it's super uncomfortable because it's like, this is a lot more clay than you've ever worked with. You know, you're like, whoa, that there's a tendency to be like, there's a lot of clay there. I want to start making a pot. And it's like, get all the clay on the wheel first, and then, and then there'll be more shaping to do. Yeah. Is there anything else? Thank you for revealing yourself, you know, on behalf of the collective. Is there anything else on that theme, you know, that touches anyone in the group? Because I think we can all relate to, hey, we have 5 more weeks and you know how much writing you've got to do. And, you know, does it start to create some anxiety of like, whoa, what am I doing with all this writing? What am I doing with, you know, how am I going to go forward? So, Leanne, were you sharing?
Yeah, just what you were saying, definitely lots of writing is coming out. I did break the chapters down, and I'm moving around because I'll sit down and just, okay, what do I feel like writing today? And I'll go there and I'll start writing that chapter. So now I've got like spaces, and I'll go, what I'm finding really challenging is I'll go with, okay, well, I haven't done chapter 4, and I'll go in there, okay, pull it out. And then I'll start writing, it's like, no, I think I wrote this already, you know, and then I can't remember if I wrote it or not, and I can't find it, but it seems so like it's broken down in the blueprint, but it seems so fresh in my mind. So I'm finding that a little bit challenging. And so then I get kind of disinterested in pursuing that chapter. Okay, forget it. I think I wrote it somewhere else. I'm going to go to another chapter and pull that chapter up. So yeah, because it's kind of piecemeal now. It's about, what, 2/3 the way through, or just under 2/3 the way through, and it's feeling a little bit like yeah, unruly, I guess, and just maybe I've written this, maybe I haven't, and I don't know, you know, because it's all here, it's all wanting to come out, right?
Yeah, I can totally relate to this, and I will share with you guys a personal process that I do. I don't this is not something I officially teach, but it is a value to me. So maybe some of you will resonate with this. What I do teach is to create a project plan, and I'll be going over that in a couple of weeks so that you can look at the book like a project and what needs to be done still, because at that point we're looking at the product. But in the process of writing with the blueprint, what I like to have handy is an outline, and it's an outline wherein almost like a checkbox, I can make notes of, okay, you know, especially now that Michael and I are co-authoring, you know, he's working on part 3, and we check off, you know, which parts have been outlined, blueprinted, and then chunked out. And then some of those chapters, it's only half of them, because an area of expertise is something like, he's like, oh, I'll write this part. You know, he's got an awesome perspective. That's his expertise. So I can't write that part. So I kind of have to chunk it out. So it requires, the co-authoring requires, you know, more complex management of the project. But even when I'm working on a book on my own, I like to look at it like, ooh, there's a checklist, you know, and I can actually check off the 18 or 15 points of that chapter as I complete them. And sometimes I do hours of writing, and then I go and I say, what have I accomplished in these hours of writing? At the beginning or end of each writing session, I might take a moment to make notes of what I accomplished. And so that looks differently for different people. I've done it very visually. I've also done it just in a writing log or journal where I make a note of my progress. But try to find what motivates you, what works for you to keep track. And it's also nice too, at the end of my writing session, when I'm done, to take notes of shit that's not in the other ideas that are not in the manuscript will often come to me, and I have a separate place to post, okay, that's for another book, or that's, for the rewrite, because I don't want to, start rewriting the book now.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, because that's what I realized a few days ago. I wasn't really making many notes about what I was writing, and my hands were so sore at the end. I was just like, okay, I'm done for the day, and no notes. And so now I'm thinking, I'm in a place of, did I finish that chapter? Did I write that yet? And so I see how important that is. Just even put a few notes, or complete this here, or continue this. So yeah.
And it won't take long. If you do your writing for today or tomorrow, right? When you're done with your writing, it won't take long to say, let me take some extra time, go back and make notes of everything that I have written and what needs to be written. 5 more weeks. Yeah. What do I need to write in the next 5 weeks?
Yeah. Thanks.
Great. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the class now. And I'm wondering, unless anyone has a final burning question, I'd love to go around the circle briefly and have you, in 2 words, share the harvest or the value that you got out of our kind of mastermind this week. Are we ready for that, or does anyone have anything they need to know? Who wants to start? 2 words of harvest.
Resonance, determination.
Good. Call on someone.
Dave.
Hope, progress.
Call on.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christiane. You have to unmute.
Thanks. Trust and progress.
Who's next?
You, somebody.
Go ahead, Michael.
Okay. Mine is excitement and contentment. Leanne?
Consistency and flow. Taina. Sí.
Rescripting reality. Gwendid.
Encouragement and excitement. I can't see everybody here. Just a second. Tracy.
Process and timing. Kaddish.
He might be.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just on the move. Google voice writing.
Good. Who do you call on? Marquise.
I already went.
Oh, Alexandra.
Guided and can't wait to write again.
Raise your hand if you haven't gone yet. Diane?
This is normal.
William?
Keep writing. Just keep writing.
I love it. Kali?
Uncensored and coffee candles.
Oh, good. Scented coffee candles. Love it. Who hasn't gone? Have we gone all the way around? Beautiful.
Just you.
Okay. Well, I am you know, it's service and love. And the, I guess, last words when I feel into the next 2 weeks before we start talking about the packaging and the marketing and all of that, I want to invite us into an intention, just like these words came as crystals to close. When you feel into the coming weeks, I invite you to really work with your intention before you start every writing session. You know, your homework is to like tend to your vibration. What am I bringing to the writing practice? Like set your intention and then do your writing, and call in the highest version of yourself before each session. And then I love this new development at the end of the session. Take some notes about what you accomplished and what you want to accomplish in your next writing session to keep you going. So blessings until next we speak, and do connect with your accountability buddies and keep each other, you know, in the highest vibration and attending to your intention when you talk to each other in the coming weeks as well. Blessings.
Thanks. Love you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You rock.
Thank you.
Thanks.